Hello, it is Soul with another video. Above my big head are our sponsors, and you can be one too if you're interested. World of Warcraft Shadowlands was announced just a couple of weeks ago, but with that announcement came some pretty disappointing news that no new class would be introduced in this expansion. Why? According to Morgan Day in an interview with VentureBeat, it's not something that we're considering for Shadowlands. It's really one of those things that the setting and the theme and the story of the expansion really drives that. With Shadowlands, our focus has been on those covenants. And in an interview with Method, Shawnee Edwards stated that there wasn't any story that jumps out in Shadowlands that warrants a new class. What? This has been pretty disappointing to hear. There have been plenty of reactions from critics asking if the designers are even aware of the kind of game that they're making. For realsies though, how do you not have the likes of Dark Rangers or Necromancers in an expansion that's centered on the dead? Even I had my crazy idea on how Tinkers could technically be possible, depending on how the whole Shadowlands environment would be expressed in-game. The debate is going to rage on for months to come as fans dissect every little detail that comes out of this expansion reveal and use that to write their own narrative that, oh, Blizzard is just trying to get away with charging for more while delivering less. Like, wow, that's a really boring conversation to me. So instead, I'm going to present a question for you all at home. And, elsewhere. I would love to get your thoughts on this one. So, if a new class isn't going to be available at the start of Shadowlands, who's to say that we won't get a class at the end of Shadowlands? For what I'm going to present to you today, call it a theory or a prediction or fan fiction, whatever, but I want to address what was said earlier and unpack that into a path that Blizzard can take that will eventually lead us into what WoW's next class is going to be. As always, I am presenting this with an element of fun, as in don't take this too seriously, okay? Strap in, let's go for a ride. So, according to what is collectively called the WoW team, the story isn't written that sets the stage for a new class to appear in this expansion. For all intents and purposes, we're just gonna call this the Necromancer, okay? Are we cool with that? Necromancer, Necro, whatever. In many ways though, the team is right, but to be more precise, it's more like there isn't an adequate story to sell a new class. Not right now, at least. That's because the idea, the concept of a Necromancer is being totally redefined thanks to pretty much everything that is Shadowlands. Based on what we've learned, a Necromancer isn't as simple as raising skeletons and poisons and grossness like this. The Shadowlands is about a cycle. It's about finding a higher calling, rebirth, redemption. As a result, the idea of a Necromancer in Warcraft has become a lot more complex. So, in the world of Warcraft, in that sort of context, the class would feel really cheapened. Like it would feel extremely one-dimensional if it was a class based on just one of these covenants in Shadowlands, like the Necrolords or the Venthyr. The story that will eventually unleash this new class isn't going to be told in a brief quest line like it was for the Monk class. In fact, the ideas of the Death Knight and the Demon Hunter that goes all the way back years and years ago, all the way back to Warcraft 3. So the lore behind those classes has built up over the years. It's taken us a while, and it slowly got us used to the idea of the Scourge, and the Illidari, and the Lich King. As we play through, Shadowlands is going to familiarize us with a system of death in the Warcraft universe. And by that story's end, there's a chance that a new class might emerge. Will it be, say, a caster in mail armor? Are they going to have a gun? Could it be a cloth tank hybrid? I don't know, but that's a lot more specific than I want to get into. I just want to scratch the surface here. During this upcoming expansion, mortals from Azeroth are going to be able to freely travel throughout the Shadowlands because they're special, so special. They're going to meet the Arbiter, they're going to fight the Jailer, and probably loot him and get stuff. During this 2 or so year expansion, players are going to be exposed to 4 Covenant storylines that are rich with lore, and on top of that, like across all the classes, like 52s or some abilities across all of these Covenant/class combinations. So it wouldn't surprise me one bit if, say, a handful of these abilities were to help create a foundation for a new class. You're probably wondering to yourselves, so how does this make sense? And it doesn't. It doesn't make sense. That's because we don't have a story, so let's make one up. As the champions of Azeroth work alongside the Covenants and the Arbiter to fix whatever the heck is going on in the Shadowlands, like the Venthyr, they're having a succession problem, and stuff is broken over on Bastion. But as we quest and farm and use bonus roll tokens, the people of the Shadowlands are slowly going to warm up to the land of the living. But ultimately, the locals of the Shadowlands, they're probably not really going to care less about the living other than them helping them out. I mean, think about this. What interests do the dead have with, hey, let's join the Alliance and Horde. We already died, but let's go in there and get ourselves killed again? Those are the problems of mere mortals, and the people of the Shadowlands, well, they're way past that. So it sounds weird, but I don't see a new class from Shadowlands coming from someone in the Shadowlands itself. It's not going to be a race up there. It's going to be today's races on Azeroth who are going to be eligible to be this upcoming class. But why, you ask? Again, it's story. All it takes is a convincing enough story. It's like flying in WoW. Critics don't like that we forget all of a sudden how to fly. But if there was context, if we were just told that, hey, we can't fly because we're going to get skull by angel winged demon looking things in the sky, we're still going to be mad, but at least we'll be like, I guess it makes sense, son of a bitch. So let's imagine that by the end of the Shadowlands storyline, we get some semblance of a happy ending. The Covenants are saved, all the loose ends are tied up, you got that AOTC mount from the jailer or whoever the last boss is, balance is restored in the Shadowlands, and for the sake of our sanity, probably just like Warlords of Draenor, the, I guess, corridor that connects to Azeroth to the Shadowlands is going to be closed. However, let's pretend that some small splinter faction in Azeroth decides, hey, you know what? This is a cool place. We want to hang out here, and they want to stay in the Shadowlands. They ask the Arbiter, hey, can we please stay over there? And the Arbiter says yes, and chances are the Arbiter is Sylvanas, because that's probably what's going to happen. So now, we have people from Azeroth living within the Shadowlands under the care and protection of the Arbiter. That's going to be the foot in the door. This faction is going to be eventually become WoW's next class. Later. It's a group of individuals who are absolutely fascinated with the cycle of death and have, I don't know, traveled across all the different territories and seen the Covenants. They've learned about this rich nature of death and somehow, some way, have gained proficiency, at least some proficiency, over its powers. The way I see it, this class would be a sort of hybrid that somehow inherits all of what each Covenant has to offer. Now, whether that makes this Necro-like class a class with 2 specializations or even 4 specializations, that's up for debate. That's not really important, but I can't see a class coming out of Shadowlands if it wasn't capable of understanding all of the essences of necromancy. Here's some high-level concepts like rebirth, service, penance, and of course necromancy. Those are easy to understand terms, and those are like also the name of specializations maybe. Ooh, just kidding, but it's possible. But let's wrap this up and talk about what all this jibber jabber means. This new Necromancer class isn't actually going to be a part of the Shadowlands expansion, but you are going to learn about the lore and all the story around it and death over the course of the expansion. Instead, this class is going to be made available in the pre-patch of the following expansion, whatever the heck that story is going to be. So you're going to start a new character and you'll go through some sort of starting experience in the Shadowlands before you're zipped down to Azeroth, and then you can start leveling again. That's pretty much it. So are you excited because this is like super likely to happen? Probably not. One of the biggest reasons why this is so unlikely to happen, it really just goes back to the earlier critique that Necromancers should have been here from the very start. And by now, people are probably going to be fatigued with Shadowlands and Soulbind and Pathfinder or whatever. And now they're just eager for what's next, as well as what class should be coming after that, because we're tired of Necromancers now. Let's move on. So in conclusion, there's no winning and Blizzard should just give up. No, actually, I'm kidding, but I would love to hear what you think about this remote possibility. Share your thoughts in a comment below, and if you enjoyed yourself, hey, hit that like button because, well, you're a nice person. And subscribe for more of this and all things Warcraft. I'll see you for the next thing. Until then, stay safe, stay happy, and stay breezy.